Can anybody see me? Hear me? I don't know what's happening. If anybody is here, tell me. Ugh, YouTube. Son of a bitch. I mean, okay. Somebody, oh, yes, I'm here. Does this mean it's working? Oh my goodness. What does YouTube need? Okay. Yeah. Hi. Thank you for being patient. I don't know what is happening or what I did to the YouTube gods, but I owe somebody an apology. Thank you for being patient with me. Boy, that was 17 minutes of stress. Well, kind of. It's not that bad, really. It's only YouTube. Life could be harder. Good morning. Good afternoon. It's morning here. It's afternoon for some of you. Oh, how is everybody? I'm good now. Tell me how you are. Please. Somebody help me. Come down. That's okay, Tanya. Thanks for being here. Thanks for putting up with whatever that was before. Susan, you're doing good. I like it. Glenda, hi, from Ontario. Fantastic. Amrita's here. And Jennifer McGuire's here. Yeah. I don't know what it is about YouTube. I thought I had it. Refreshed it 100 times. Everything was good. Before everything was good, and then I refreshed it 100 times because I kept getting a little we're coming, we're working, we're trying. And then the button to go live just disappeared. I was about to quit. I mean, not quit, give up. But one more try, and we got it. Hi, we're here. Yes, Susan, technology. I should be okay with it, but I'm really not. We'll just have to do something in person. I'll rent a building somewhere. We'll do this. So I don't have long, considering I just wasted the first 20 minutes figuring it out, but I figure I can do an hour before I have to hop on some more calls. Erica, hi, how are you? Thanks for being here. But I wanted to cover some of the realistic things that you could do to get in a better spot this year with your health and fitness. I think too often people complicate the heck out of it. We try to make it fancier because, quite frankly, simple isn't sexy and sexy doesn't sell. And that's what social media is right now. It's a marketing platform. The higher one, Jesse Stokes. Yeah. I mean, you could. That's the point. And Betsy's here. Hi, Betsy. What was I saying? Yes, simplifying it. So I want to simplify the process as much as I can. That's my goal as a coach, because I see there is so much crap on social media about what you should do, how to do it, why it needs to be complicated, this 10-step process. And I don't know. I can't ethically sit back and tolerate that. So let's simplify it. I have 5, maybe 6 things you could do this year that will push you in the right direction. Now, some of them I have talked about here before because they're so damn important, and they are the bigger chunks of what I teach, of what my process is. But I'll cover them anyway because they bear repeating. The first one, eating enough protein. And for most people, that means eating a lot more protein than you are already. Straight out of the gate, protein is not going to cause any problems for you. It's probably not going to make anything worse unless there's a condition you already know about. People who eat more protein, in this case, women who eat more protein, have more muscle mass. They generally have more muscle mass and more bone mass with that. More muscle mass, more bone mass, and a lower level of body fat. Okay, so there's a pretty nice reason to eat more protein anyway. And the nature of that comes from the fact that if you eat more protein, You are giving your muscles, you're giving your bones, you're giving your body the building blocks it needs to maintain and repair that stuff. But also, you're not getting those calories from other foods, from an excess of carbohydrates, an excess of fats, excess of simple sugars, which a lot of the American diet, a lot of the adult diet across the world is made up of. So more protein, more better, I guess. If I miss anyone's questions, I'm trying not to get too distracted by staring into the comments, but I will get there. If anybody has questions along the way, just fire them out. Protein is the macronutrient. And when I say macronutrient, we think of protein, we think of carbohydrates, we think of fats. Okay, these are our specific, I guess, food groups or energy groups, rather. Protein is the macronutrient that takes the longest to digest, right? Longest to digest and absorb. And it will help to stimulate hormones that keep you feeling fuller for longer, more satisfied at mealtimes, and fuller for longer between meals. Okay, because it takes longer to digest, so it's in your system for a long time. It moves through slowly. It does take more energy to digest than both carbohydrates and fats. So it means that, not only will you burn more energy by eating this kind of food, eating more protein-rich foods, but you will stay fuller for longer, which means you will eat less between meals as well, right? You need protein for strong muscles, for healthy muscles, strong bones, especially going into that, that perimenopause, menopause, postmenopausal period. We've talked a lot about the bone mineral density changes between perimenopause and menopause, the loss of muscle mass. The rates are something to be aware of. 3 to 8% of muscle mass per decade for sedentary women after the age of about 30. For sedentary women, so women who don't do any activity or much activity in general, think no regular gym work with a desk job, something like that, okay? 3 to 8% of your muscle mass every decade. 3 to 8% of your muscle mass is lost every decade if you don't do the things that will support that, okay? High protein intake being one of them. The other one there, the strong bones as well, okay? You will lose about 0.4% of your bone density each year after about the age of 30 as well, 25 to 30. So eating enough protein helps to give you the minerals, give you the amino acids to support the regrowth of that, right? Not only the repair, but also the growth of new bone tissue, new bones and muscles. Your body is in a constant state of breakdown and rebuilding, regardless of what you do, okay? And when you don't give it the materials to rebuild, it is in a greater state of breakdown. And that, as you might imagine, just continues. Doesn't just really stop on its own unless you give your body the incentive to change that. So having the resources there to rebuild those muscles and those bones, even if you're not, you don't consider yourself an athlete or a bodybuilder or anything like that, right? The same body you are in now will carry you through your entire life. And you want that to be healthy and strong and functional all the way to, I guess, the end of it, really is the goal. And little things like the things I'll cover today can give you, conservatively, another 10, 15, 20 years of functional living, right? Doing things by yourself, for yourself. Not by, you know what I mean when I say by yourself. Doing things for yourself without having to rely on, say, assisted living and things like that. So as far as eating enough protein goes, now you can get into the specifics. Yeah, more years to craft. Yeah, just do it standing up. Do it with a weight vest on, like Jennifer does. Oh boy, that was a loud ding. Sorry if anybody. Let me shut that up. I don't know if y'all heard that, but that was loud. I should have turned that off before. More crafting. Yes, do it standing up. Good. Betsy already does it standing up. Weight vests. More points for a weight vest. But you don't have to. But do some exercise throughout the day. I'm not sure I could do it on a walking pad. if you have one. I'd probably slice a fingertip off or something. Yes, Erica, you do need to get a weight vest. Jennifer's got one. Jennifer, you'll have to share your link on your page because your one's good. I like your one. Now I have to get one. Come on, man. So we can get into the specifics of grams. If you happen to weigh things and count things, you can do that. I don't encourage it because unless you are the person who thrives off knowing that kind of stuff, I think it causes more problems than it solves. And so I think you should just simplify it as much as you can. And around here, we simplify it to portion sizes, right? We have our protein stuff, and this is something that there are a few people in the chat who I work with now, who some are further along than others in the journey, let's say. So this protein conversation will be a big one for us, for some of us very soon. But simplifying the portion sizes to hands, essentially. So using your hand to measure, a serving of protein is the size and thickness of the palm of your hand. Okay. Now, your hands are hopefully proportionate to the rest of your body. Okay. So your portion of protein and therefore your daily protein intake is proportionate to that as well. But most women, most of the time, will do very well with at least 3 and up to about 5 or 6 palm-sized servings of protein-rich food per day. Okay, so a serving, again, being the size, right? The size and thickness of the palm of your hand. At least 3 servings per day, so 1 at breakfast, 1 at lunch, 1 at dinner, up to about 5 or 6, depending on the person. The larger the person, heavier, more muscle mass, etc., taller, you just have a higher caloric intake and therefore a greater need for protein. Okay, the difference between someone who is 5'2" and 6'2" is 30 to 50 grams of protein per day. Okay, or someone who is 135 pounds versus 235 pounds is a lot of protein, right? It might be the difference between those 3 servings, but most women, most of the time, between 3 and 6. Okay? If you have more weight to lose, assuming that's one of your goals, not all of this is about weight loss. These are the things that will keep you healthy and happy for a very long time. But if you do have larger amounts of weight to lose, or weight to lose in general, a higher protein intake is almost always a good thing. And that almost part accounts for 99.9% of it all. Okay, so at least 3 servings per day, up to about 6. It's different for men. Again, not that there are men in the audience here, but myself, I would be up to 8, possibly 9 servings. Okay, depending on the day, depending on the activity for the week. Women, 3 to 6 servings of protein-rich food per day. It's not just about losing weight, right? There is a weight at which you will feel really good at. Your age, your height, your experience will all dictate these things. Okay, but for most people, I mean, let me rephrase that. The goal is not always weight loss, and we need to respect that, right? Society might tell you otherwise, but it's not up to them. It's about what you feel good at. I think for a lot of people, a lot of women, they think the goal is weight loss because there is a conditioning that has taken place over the last, 10, 20, potentially 30 years, right? Where smaller is happier. It takes, I think, unfortunately, if you don't catch that soon enough, it takes a lot of struggle to realize that that's not the case. I've worked with a lot of women over the years who were just constantly trying to be small, just smaller for the sake of being smaller, and realize that it doesn't actually bring any happiness. It doesn't feel very good. Women have a harder time being leaner year round than men do. And I say that because there are periods in my life where I've been very lean, and it's miserable. It's awful, quite frankly. Your energy tanks, your mood tanks, life is crap. So weight loss doesn't have to be the goal. Feeling good should be the goal. Feeling comfortable in your skin should be the goal. Feeling strong, fit, and capable should be the goal. In some cases, that means losing a bit of weight, right? But the things we'll cover, again, I just want you to be healthy and happy and feel good. Let's see, what did Susan said here? I was told to get 90 grams of protein a day. It depends, Susan. 90 grams might be the number for you. The general goal is between 1.6 and about 2, maybe 2.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, right? So take your weight in pounds, divide it by 2.2, you'll get kilograms. Multiply that number by 1.6 and then by 2.2. Okay, you'll get a range. That's if you want to count those calories, okay, if you're inclined to do so. I've done it. It sucks. Unless you live alone and you're the only person handling your food and you never go out to eat, you might be so inclined to do that. But if you like to go out occasionally, if you're cooking for more than one person, it's a bit hard to keep track of all that. But 90 grams of protein per day might be right. It might be on the lower end if you're a larger person. If you have more weight to lose, it's probably on the lower side. But so that's an average of about 0.8 grams of protein per pound of body weight. Okay, you can do the math if you like, or you can simplify it. Start with 3 servings of protein. Wherever you are now, try to get to 3 servings of protein per day. And again, that serving, size and thickness of the palm of your hand. Beef, chicken, lamb, pork, fish, other seafood, eggs, egg whites, tofu, tempeh, right? Beans, legumes, protein powder is a big one. I say protein powder and not protein bars because protein bars they're great for a snack now and again, but they're an abysmal amount of protein for what they are and what they cost. Erica, they have a lot of sugar. They have a lot of carbohydrates. If you added 3 grams of protein to a Snickers bar, suddenly it's a protein bar, but it's still a Snickers bar, right? So I wouldn't advocate so often. Protein powder, on the other hand, like things like whey is probably the most common protein powder. It is very cost effective, if you ask me, very convenient, very high in protein for what it is. 30 grams of powder will give you about 24 grams of protein, which is a fantastic ratio. And then low in carbohydrates, right? And those are, sugar is a funny word because carbohydrates in their simplest form are sugar, but that doesn't mean they're bad. Refined sugars they have more potential to be a problem than complex sugars, complex carbohydrates like you'd find in a potato versus a Snickers bar, right? It's essentially, this is going off the protein topic, but refined versus complex carbohydrates is probably the spectrum. Again, one end you have straight table sugar, the other end you have a sweet potato or the potato. Pick your carbohydrate, rice, beans, whatever. And it just refers to the I'm not going to take your potatoes, Jennifer. But we will go out for fries one day because that's my weak spot. It just refers to how complex the sugar molecule is, essentially, and how quickly your body can break it down. Okay, like a 4-piece puzzle, right? That a very young child would do versus a 1,000-piece puzzle you might do. Okay, they're different levels of complexity. They're made of the same stuff. They're just different levels of complexity there, and how long it takes your body to figure it out, or in this case, break it down. Do your best when it comes to protein intake, right? Just wherever you are, right? You can kind of quantify it using what I've talked about so far. Again, palm-sized servings. Start where you are. Keep a food journal. Write down what you eat in a day, or for a week, or for 2 weeks. Okay, and just doing that itself will give you a lot of incentive to make change because you have to look at it, you have to write it down, you have to acknowledge it. And if you're not making very good food choices, it's the first place you'll see it, and you'll probably want to start changing things. But find out how much protein you eat now, just with simple serving sizes, and add half a serving to the day, maybe 1 serving. Okay, and keep doing that until you consistently get to 3 servings per day. and then it's 3.5, and then it's 4, 4.5, 5, whatever. Find out what feels good, okay, and just hover around that. Change your actions based on your outcomes. Are you seeing and feeling the changes that you want to see? If yes, keep doing it. If no, change something, right? But don't change everything at once, because then you don't know what worked. And there's the chances of you doing it if you change 5 things versus 1 thing are so much lower. And one thing that I will touch on before I move to the next thing, stop skipping breakfast. Please stop skipping breakfast. It's not helping you. More women, I think, more people nowadays skip breakfast than ever, because nobody has the time anymore. And also stress levels are very high. And when you're stressed, people don't eat. Most people's, I think, default stress response, you go one of 2 ways. You either overeat or you undereat. And most people that I've worked with fall into the undereating category, especially in the morning, right? When you have higher stress levels in the morning naturally, because of your cortisol levels and your circadian rhythm, you are supposed to have that stress in the morning, right? It gets you up, gets you out of bed, gets you ready for the day. But you need food. And when you don't put calories and energy into your system, that stress continues to rise, and you continue to essentially fight yourself and fight your body's need for energy. And no, a coffee is not breakfast. Coffee has 0 calories in it. There is no energy in coffee. There is caffeine in coffee. It makes you think you have energy, but you don't, right? And when you don't have energy coming in, your body will take what it needs from the resources you have inside. It will break down your muscle tissue. It will break down your bone structure, your bone tissue, okay? Your body's very good at getting what it wants, and it functions best when you provide those nutrients. Otherwise, it will take those from your body. Right, I see a couple of questions pop up. Bear with me for a second. You don't have to do breakfast right away. I would encourage you to do it probably within an hour and a half of waking up. If you do drink coffee in the morning, try to avoid that. If you don't feel hunger and you do drink coffee, caffeine will only suppress your appetite. So I would avoid that until you've tried to eat something. Give your hunger signals a chance to actually kick in. There's no rule, but I wouldn't get up and start doing too many things before you have breakfast. And it doesn't have to be a huge breakfast. Again, start where you are. Build up slowly. You could add some protein, put some protein in a smoothie. Have a cup of something. Get 300 calories in there instead of no calories, and see how you feel. Jennifer, we had the breakfast conversation for a while. Is there a way to know if you have high cortisol levels? I'd be curious as to what makes you ask that, Susan, because it would differ at various times of the day, the morning versus the evening. Hopefully it would differ. It's supposed to work in a wave, right? Your circadian rhythm, again, that 24-hour cycle we all run on, roughly 24 hours. It would go up in the morning, gradually coming down towards the end of the day. People who, I guess, live in a stressful environment or live stressful lives, their cortisol levels would be higher. Cortisol is one of those buzzwords, essentially. It's doing the rounds right now. People have, it's up there with like inflammation and organic and superfood. Like, it's just one of those words people use a lot where they don't really understand what's happening. Cortisol is not a bad thing, but chronically elevated cortisol levels are something that you should be aware of. There are so many things you can do to bring those down. Most people, again, they're not sexy. They're simple. They're not sexy, and therefore they don't sell. But if you can sell somebody a supplement that does it for them, boy, that's so much easier. Here's $30, 30 pills. $30 is cheap. Get $60, $90 for a month's supply of these things. Let's see. How late still counts as breakfast? Within 30 minutes of waking up, within 2 hours. Okay, I think we covered that. Well, there's no rule. Like I said, there's no rule. Breakfast is technically the first meal of the day, right? Break fast. You fasted overnight, you're breaking that fast in the morning. Okay, that's what breakfast is. I would encourage you to do it within 2 hours of waking up and slowly bring that back. Okay, the ultimate goal being you're not spending the first 6 to 8 hours of the day fighting your body for calories. Okay, get something in there in the morning and then see how you feel as you go. You will probably feel better. You will notice it, I think, mostly in your energy levels and how you feel about food come 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon or after dinner, right? Your body needs a certain amount of calories each day. If you fight for it, if you fight against it for the first, again, 6, 8 hours, you still need those calories at the other end of the day. By that point, you've run out of the ability to make good choices, okay? And you reach for the easy stuff, the cookies, the chocolate, the ice cream, if you have a sweet tooth, whatever your go-to is if you have the savory options, or the preferences rather. You can't make energy out of willpower or the desire to be something. It doesn't work that way. You need that food, you need those calories, your body takes them from somewhere. And if you don't give it to it, it will take them from your muscles and your bones. Let's see. I've missed a couple of these questions. Sorry, people. Matcha. What do you mean by matcha, Erica? Is that a question for me? Borrowing energy. I like this. Julia, borrowing strength creates weakness. Borrowing energy creates less energy. We come back to thermodynamics. Energy cannot be created nor transformed, nor destroyed. Sorry, it is simply transformed from one form to another. Okay, you can't turn caffeine into energy. You can't turn water into energy. You can't turn willpower into energy. Your body will take what it needs from what it has already. Your muscles, again, muscle loss, bone loss, all those resources that it has lots of, but it will take if you don't give it to them, if you don't give it to it yourself, I guess. Let's see, Linda, you fast for 14 to 16 hours. When you get up, you drink water until you break your fast. I don't advocate fasting. If it works for you, that's fantastic. I'm not sure how many years you've done it for. I did it for a while, but it's very different for men than it is for women. Women don't generally respond to periods of intense caloric restriction. So it depends on your goal. If you have large amounts of body fat to lose, you can afford to have a greater period of caloric restriction. Okay, so caloric restriction or caloric deficit being you consume less energy than your body needs in a day and you spend more than you consume, right? So people who have greater levels of body fat have more stored energy, and you can afford to have less energy coming in because you've got more of it, realistically thousands of calories, right? You've got days worth of energy. Not that I encourage you to go days without eating, but hopefully you get the point there. Women don't always do well with severe and prolonged energy restriction, right? It messes with too many hormones. It can throw a lot of things not out of balance, because balance is another one of those buzzwords, but it can throw a lot of things for a loop as your body scrambles to figure out just what the heck is going on. So if it works for you, sure. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But a 16 to 18 hour fast is not something I would encourage anybody to do. And that's just me. That's my point of view on that. Just noticed Brianne's here. Hello, Brianne. How are your legs feeling today? Are they good? Because I know you had a rough day yesterday. Sorry about that. No, you'll love it. Let's see. Susan, I have understood that high cortisol levels have a lot to do with pain and weight gain. Yes, they do. Pain for sure. Weight gain. It's not the cortisol. It's what the cortisol causes you to do. Right? Again, you can't create energy from nothing. Right? Weight gain, presumably, let's imagine we're talking about body fat. That body fat is stored energy. that energy has to come from somewhere. If you are a responder to stress, if you respond to stress with stress eating, then yeah, cortisol causes weight gain. But cortisol also causes weight loss if you are an undereater, when you get stressed, right? So cortisol doesn't cause weight gain, but it is part of the I guess the mechanism that leads to that. Does that make sense? I hope so. Yeah, Betsy, always breakfast. Always breakfast. Now let me make sure I have not missed anything. What's the best way to start building muscle? Oh, that's something I had on here. I'm going to skip to that. By the way, here is my list. When I say here, do you curse Jesse when you stand up? I hear my name on the wind sometimes. Just it's angry noises from a few of you in here. You'll thank me in 10 years' time, 20 years' time. I'll hang in there for that. I get so many aggressive messages every week. Just the life of a trainer, I guess. Every time since Monday. Fantastic. Okay, what was I going to talk about? The best way to start building muscle: lift weights. Go to the gym, buy a gym membership, buy some resistance bands, get something from home. Do something that you have access to, essentially. Lift weights. I would say the minimum effective dose would be 30 minutes twice a week. Okay, 30 minutes of moderate to moderately intense weightlifting. And when I say weightlifting, I don't mean the kind that you see on the Olympics, right? Where they're doing the snatches and the clean and press. Just lift some weights. Grab the dumbbells at your gym, order some online. If you don't want to go to a gym, you can get some pretty decent dumbbells for a couple $100, or you can get some resistance bands. Okay, you have to use, resistance is resistance, right? Whether it's a giant rubber band or a dumbbell or a machine or a cable in the gym, put your body through something physically intense at least twice a week for 30 minutes. Okay. My goal with the women I work with, 3 to 4 times a week, eventually. Okay. We work up to that point, 3 to 4 times a week for 40 to 60 minutes each time is about the sweet spot. It's realistic, achievable, it's sustainable, and it seems to make a nice difference, over the long run. Right? We want consistency over intensity. So build the habit first before you start making it difficult, right? And for you, that might look like you go to the gym once a week for 20 minutes. Okay. Most people, I think, let's imagine wherever you're starting is 0. Okay. And they picture the end goal of 100. Between 0 and 100, we think I'll take one giant step. I'll do it all this week, and then I'll just rely on sheer willpower to do it all again next week. But if you take it from 0, keep the 100 in your mind, keep the picture of 100, what you want it to look like, but take the smallest step you need to get to that point. Okay, because you could go 0 to 100 and 10 days later you're back at 0. Or you could go 0 to 100 and then 100 days later you're there. Or, 200, 300, 400 days later, I don't care how long it takes, you're there. Okay, you're so much further ahead than 0. But break it up into as small of a piece as you need to, and do that thing. And again, that might be going to the gym, like get yourself a gym membership. 20 pounds is 20 pounds, doesn't matter what gym you go to. Or at home, like I said. Erica just said something about resistance bands. $30, 10 to 50 pounds, perfect. You can have a killer workout, right? A few basic movements, 3, 4, maybe 5 exercises. Put a few of them back to back if you don't have much time, right? We call that a superset. You do one exercise, rest very little to none in between. Do another exercise, bam, rest a minute, do it again. 2 to 3 times per week. Train your whole body each time. You don't need to do an arm day, a leg day, a back day, a chest day. That kind of training is reserved for people on super physiological amounts of steroid hormones, where they can actually handle it, where they need that kind of volume. They need 3 hours just to get the right amount of stimulus. For most people, most of the time, half an hour, 45 minutes, maybe 60 if you have 6 months of experience. Okay? But just train your whole body, train the big movements, compound exercises, multiple joints, multiple muscle groups at once. Okay, keep that at the beginning. Do some heavy, do some light stuff at the end if you want some bicep, some bicep work, right? Some curls and some shoulder press stuff, right? But 3 to 5 exercises, compound movements. I said consistency before intensity, right? Which is still true. I want you to keep going, build a habit before you make it harder for yourself, before that mental battle comes. But once the point arrives that you can turn the dial up a wee bit, look for a higher intensity. And by higher intensity, I mean you are working to within 2 to 3 reps of failure. Okay, failure being defined as the point that you can't physically do another repetition with good form. Okay, if you're doing squats or lunges, let's say everybody's favorite, lunges. If you are doing those, you might get to 12 reps and think, if I do 13, I'm gonna shake a little bit. If I do 14, neighbors are gonna know about it. If I do 15, I might not stand back up. Okay, so 12 is a good number for that particular exercise, let's say. You don't need to go to failure each time. I encourage you not to, because it makes the recovery process very difficult. But training, I guess, within 2 to 3 reps of that failure point. And it'll take you a while to figure that out, right? As you build confidence in yourself, confidence in your movements. And then once you get to that point, you will understand more about your body. Brian has to go. That's right, Brian. Thanks for being here. Yeah, go be your link ninja somewhere else. One day you come in here and help me sort out all the links when I need help. Does Pilates count as strength training? Yes, it does. To me, it does. But it depends where you are. It depends how long you have, how much experience you have in the industry. To some people, Pilates it could be a walk in the park, right? It's still exercise, okay? Like walking is still exercise, but your body will adapt to the stimulus that you give it. Okay, we have a principle that we follow in the strength and conditioning world, the SAID principle, SAID, and it stands for the specific adaptation to imposed demand. Your body will get good at the thing you ask it to do. If you want to get better at push-ups, just do push-ups. If you have a physical job and you need to get physically tested for something, right? Running a mile or doing something like that, do that exact thing. You don't have to do anything else. Do that exact thing and your body will get good at doing that exact thing. So same thing applies to Pilates or yoga, right? If you take an absolute beginner and put them through a moderate to advanced yoga class, that's going to be really difficult. They're going to challenge their bodies physically, probably challenge them mentally as well. I say that because I've been there. It's really hard. And for a while, that will be more than they need to grow, to adapt, to change. Eventually, they'll reach the point where they're very capable of it, and it's no longer enough of a challenge. Same thing with Pilates. Right now, I've never been to a Pilates class. A few of my clients do go to Pilates, Jennifer being one of them. She's an absolute badass. I'm not sure how difficult the class is, but it sounds difficult. So as long as you move the needle, a little bit more each time, yes, it still counts, right? But it has to be, this is going to sound weird to say, you have to struggle. You have to struggle, right? You don't have to be struggling to walk for 4 days afterwards, okay? Again, I wouldn't encourage that because that affects, your next 4 days and life sucks, right? But complain the whole class. But it has to be difficult. It just has to be a challenge, which is why you put a weighted vest on while you're walking, right? You're adding a little bit more resistance to that exercise. Let's see if I missed anything here. Yeah, Erica, I'll never give you a leg day. No. Bugger that. Has everything I've made sense? Has everything I've said so far made sense? Does anybody have any questions about that? Oh, okay. Yeah. Danielle, I'm assuming is the Pilates instructor. Yeah. All coaches, all trainers, as a client, your workout, like if you have an in-person trainer, your workout depends on how well that person's day has been. If you can get your sessions in the morning, because there's less time for things to go wrong throughout that day. If you go and see a coach or a trainer at 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m., I'm sorry, we've had a tough day. Probably some of us have probably been there since 5 o'clock in the morning. We will kindly take it out on you a little bit. So schedule those morning sessions if you can. Inside information there. Let's see, lift weights. I'll talk about walking more because we're on that exercise thing. If you are not consistently getting 5,000 steps a day, that's your first goal. Do whatever you can to get those first 5,000 steps, right? If anybody on social media tells you walking is an exercise, do one of two things. Either unfollow them or just keep scrolling. Don't listen to what they say. I'm tempted to say don't listen to anything else they say, but that's a blanket statement. You can give them a chance, but walking is very much exercise, right? Walking counts. If you're not getting at least 5,000 steps a day, that will be your first priority, right? If you don't have a smartwatch, something like that, I would aim for, you can get a pedometer from Amazon for $25, right? It'll track your steps. Battery will last you the rest of your life, probably. That's what I use. I've never had a smartwatch. I don't want one necessarily. Spend enough time on my phone as it is. I don't want to be connected to the device all the time. If you have one, use it. If you don't have one, don't worry. I would get Erica's just said your phone will track. Yep, your phone will track your steps. Pedometer, again, $25 from Amazon. Also, you can just walk for a certain amount of time. The average person, you'll probably 1,000 steps every, 12 to 15 minutes, maybe for 1,000 steps. Okay, so if you were to go for a walk, 30 minutes might be a couple thousand steps. Right, an hour might be 3,000 to 4,000 steps, depending on your physical fitness level already, how fast you walk, how long your legs are, that kind of stuff. So it would be your priority, 5,000 steps. Get to that point first, and then anything over and above that, right? I'd like to see 7,000 to 8,000 steps a day, but I get that's not realistic for a lot of people, at least in the beginning. Right. Once you build a habit, it's easier to add, 5%. But take what you do now and add 5 or 10% to that total. Okay. If you're only doing 1,000 steps a day, do 1,100 tomorrow. Okay. Do that for 5 days consistently, and then do 1,200, 1,300, whatever. Okay. It's easier to add those smaller increments over a long period of time than it is to just try to double it or triple it or wake up tomorrow and get 10,000 steps. Jennifer used the Oura ring. Oura ring. Yeah, I said that right. I've almost pulled the trigger on that one a couple of times before, but I worry about scratching it on a barbell at the gym, and it hurts me. So I couldn't do that. 10,000 steps a day is a number you hear thrown around a lot in the industry. Walk 10,000 steps a day. It's largely a myth. Well, it originated as a myth. It was part of a marketing campaign for the pedometer ahead of the 1964 Tokyo Olympics. They just released a pedometer to encourage people to be more active. And the the target was set at 10,000 steps because 10,000, the Japanese character for 10,000, or I forget if it meant specifically 10,000 or just like a large number. It looked like a little person walking. And so it just stuck and it took off. And that's where the original goal of 10,000 steps comes from. After about 7,000 or 8,000 steps for most people, the cost to benefit ratio tends to level out a wee bit, right? Somewhere between 8,000 and 12,000 steps. But if you can get to at least 7 or 8,000 a day, you're doing everything you can in that department, right? That's excluding the more intense cardio stuff, right? More intense cardiovascular training, like a higher intensity run, if that's your poison, a row or something like that. If you are one of those weirdos that likes the Stairmaster, have at it. Getting your heart rate up is one of those things that again, along with strength training, right? Strength training will do it, Pilates will do it, yoga will do it, walking will do it, but making sure it happens intentionally. Because if it's not intentional, that kind of stuff doesn't typically happen. Like walking, right? It depends on your physical fitness, but if you are able-bodied, walking is not likely to get your heart rate up too much. Let's see, what's Betsy said here? Oh, more Pilates, yeah. Yeah, I imagine your classes aren't very structured, I guess, in the sense that, not structured, but repetitive, and that it's the same every time, like some yoga studios might do, or like some Pilates studios might do. Because it's a small scale, it sounds like she gives you what you need on the day, or what she thinks you need at least, which is fantastic because it sounds like a real challenge. I've told Jennifer I'd do it with her one day if I'm ever down that way. Now I'm regretting that, but I'll do it one day. One day. If you can't walk or you have issues walking, get on a bike, get in the pool, find a way to make it accessible for you. If you have to start with, one of those, what are they called? Like the recumbent bicycles where you lie back and just pedal, right? Start there. Okay. Again, don't go 0 to 100, go 0 to 1, right? And then 1 to 2, 2 to 3, on and on. You can count for yourself. And walking, again, despite what social media, there's knobs on social media will tell you, walking is exercise. It will take you time to get used to it. Okay. It is physical activity. It is exercise. There will be an adaptation period. Give yourself time. If you currently walk 1,000 steps a day and you're trying to do 10,000 by the end of the week, you're going to hurt, right? But if you do 1,000, if you did 1,000 yesterday and then 1,100 tomorrow, there's a gradual adaptation process. Okay. So be patient with yourself. Julia, I like the way you think. Get French fries too. Jennifer, you better start looking at the good places that have the fries. It's my guilty treat when I go out. Always fries. Fries for the table. I'm the table, just by the way. Let's see. I had 2 things to cover. I'll wait for time. I'm good for a little bit. Eat more vegetables. Eat your damn vegetables. 3 to 5 servings a day. Okay, 3 to 5 servings being the size of your fist. Okay, the size of your closed fist is a serving of vegetables. If you eat them raw, measure them raw. If you eat them cooked, measure them cooked. Just eat the damn things. Vegetables have, vitamins, minerals, antioxidants. They're nutrient rich. Okay, they're very good for you. No vegetables are trying to kill you. Okay, yes, the vegetables are trying to survive. They're plants. They have their defenses. They have their defense chemicals. And I say that because I've seen so many videos on social media about how you shouldn't eat this because it has these things in it, plant defense chemicals. We know that. We override that. We digest them. Okay, that's what happens. We've done it for thousands of years, right? So don't listen to those people. Eat your kale, eat your spinach. Doesn't matter what they have, the oxalates, you can eat all that and you'll be absolutely fine. Okay, they have a lot of nutrients in them, but fiber as well. Okay, most Americans, when I say most, 90%, okay, upwards of 90%, don't eat enough vegetables and therefore don't eat enough fiber. Right, fiber is the thing that will essentially keep food moving through your system, right? Keep the pipes clean, but also slow down the rate at which that food is both digested and then absorbed. Okay, so like the protein before, it takes the most energy to digest and absorb, right? The most time and energy. Therefore, you feel less hungry and less hungry between meals, more satisfied at mealtime, okay, and less hungry between meals. The fiber in those vegetables will do the same. Okay, it'll keep food moving through your system nice and slow. Now, there is a case in which you want low fiber foods. This is assuming you're not sensitive to this kind of stuff. Okay, so in a normal case, let's say, right, normal case, your digestive system's fine. Okay, you can eat most things without having to worry about it. There are cases in which you would want low fiber foods, right? If you are in need of energy quickly, you want something that can be eaten, digested, and absorbed quickly. That's where your more refined carbohydrates or things come in handy. But for most people, most of the time, and I would say 70 to 80% of the time, okay, assuming you're exercising regularly, etc., you want something that is going to, I guess, take its time to move through your system, okay, helping your energy balance, right, without counting calories and all that stuff, because you won't feel so hungry between meals. But they also, I think the best part about them, well, one of the best parts, is their volume to energy density ratio. So vegetables have a huge volume, right, huge amount of broccoli, let's say, for very little calories. Okay, unlike butter. Now, butter's not bad, but just compared to butter. Okay, the same amount of butter, let's say, I don't know, what's that? Stick of butter, 60 grams, right? Slice of that. 60 grams, huge amount of calories, very little butter. Same thing on the other hand, on the other side of the coin, there is the likes of, again, broccoli. Huge amount of broccoli, very little calories. Okay, and we want that most of the time. Okay, your body needs calories, but it needs volume as well. Your stomach needs to physically be full. You know, there is a reaction to the stretch, the expansion of your stomach, that will trigger those hunger and fullness hormones, right? And that's where consuming large amounts of vegetables comes in handy. Okay, so that's essentially the secret to weight management. Again, not everything's about weight loss, but weight management. Okay, you're constantly eating calories without feeling the fullness that comes with that, or that should come with that. Then you're just going to keep putting calories in, which is going to lead to weight gain. We call that a calorie surplus. Right? You are eating more energy than you need to consume. You are eating more energy in a day than you spend in a day. Your body's a wonderful thing. It will store that extra energy in times of need, but we don't have those times of need anymore. Though we might soon. 3 to 5 servings per day, right? Size of your fist, 1 serving of vegetables. 3 to 5 of those. Most people don't eat vegetables at breakfast, but if you can find a way to do so, right? Especially if you're cooking things, eggs, bacon. There's no reason you cannot have meat for breakfast. Doesn't need to be just ground beef with nothing else, but you can have, a little bit of ground beef with your scrambled eggs. Put a little cottage cheese in there if you do that. Again, get that protein intake up. Add those vegetables, mushrooms, onions, right? Anything, any color. The more variety you can have, the better. But find what works for you. Okay, cook them and eat them any way you want, any way you know how, any way you have the desire to do so. They do not need to be organic, right? That's a bollocks marketing thing again. And they do not need to be fresh. Okay, by that, I mean, frozen vegetables are just as good, if not better in some cases. Okay, they might be cheaper, they're more available to you, and they're easier to prepare, right? If not already chopped and done for you. Okay. Any questions about that? Before I cover the last one that I think everyone's going to relate to. Spinach in your omelet. Yes, absolutely, Erica. So when I work with somebody, I get them to keep a food journal, at least in the beginning, right? We document everything that we eat. They document everything they eat, and then we look at it together. We talk about it and what those routines, what those habits are, what those choices are. And I love people who take pictures of their food, because I get hundreds of wonderful food pictures each week, and some of them just make me salivate, quite frankly. Libby, leftover broccoli and eggs. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, cook a little bit more the night before, right? Set it aside. If you have to, hide it from whoever else is around. And I say that because one of my clients has teenagers that keep stealing her leftovers. So she's always hungry for lunch. Okay, last thing. Protein, vegetables, lifting weights, walking more, getting enough sleep. If there's another thing you can do this year and every day for the rest of your life, go to bed earlier, right? Most women, yeah. I see you, Jennifer. You work too much. Most women need less sleep as they get older, but less is typically never less than about 7 hours a night. Okay, it's never less than 7 hours a night, unless you're one of those, genetically differently wired people who thrive off like 5 or 6. You need 7, or you're just kind of shaving time off the other end, which nobody's really wanting, I don't think. I get the challenges that people face in both modern times and around that perimenopause and menopause period, right? Those are no joke, right? Finding ways to navigate those as best we can is going to do wonders for you. Okay, when you get enough sleep, everything feels easier, right? Going to the gym feels easier. Getting out for a walk feels easier. Making food choices, making food and better food choices feels easier. Dealing with other people feels easier. Okay, sticking to the plan feels easier. Being consistent feels easier. So getting enough sleep, 7 to 9 hours per night. Now, 9, some of you are going to laugh at me. 9 hours is a dream, I guess, but no less than 7 if you can help it. Okay, whatever you get now, find a way to make it a little bit more. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, right? The easiest way to do that is to go to bed earlier. I want you to think about sleep as not something you do with the time you have left over at the end of the day, but something you do to prepare for the day you have tomorrow. Okay, what time can I go to bed so that tomorrow is going to be a good day? Okay, find out what time you need to go to bed, what time you need to get up in the morning, right? If it's 6:30, okay, or 7, work backwards, count backwards 8 hours from that. That's your bedtime. Okay, even if it takes you 90 minutes to fall asleep, that's your bedtime. You are practicing going to bed earlier. Keep your bedtime consistent, like your bedtime and your wake up time consistent as much as you can. Okay, that your schedule allows you to do so. Right? Again, we're playing to the strength of that circadian rhythm. Okay, the rhythm that every creature on this planet runs by. Right, we have that sleep-wake cycle. The more consistent you can be, the better off it's going to work out. It's going to be in the long run. Right, your body loves routine. Okay, go to bed at the same time. Get up at about the same time. Let's say within an hour of each one. Okay. Avoid coffee and other caffeinated beverages after about, I would say after 2 p.m. If you again take your bedtime and work backwards by about 6 hours, that should be your cutoff for caffeine. Right, caffeine has what we call a half-life of about 6 hours. If you ingested 200 milligrams, right? I'm saying 200 because it's your average caffeine pill. That I've used a lot of before as a coach. Some of you may have used before. 200 milligrams at 12 o'clock, you would have about 100 milligrams, so about half of that left in your system by 6 p.m. Okay, and then it's diminishing after that, but a half-life of about 6 hours. So stop drinking coffee, caffeine. Decaf is I guess okay, but if you can avoid it, do so. Still has, it's decaf, not no caf. There are lots of other coffee alternatives you can have, or not coffee alternatives, but similarities that don't have any caffeine. Avoid those after 2 p.m. And if you are prone to suffering from hot flushes and things like that, or just have trouble regulating your temperature, particularly at the end of the day, avoid those hot drinks altogether before bed, because they will, as you put hot liquid into your body's going to fight to cool that down. Okay, you might start sweating, and you're kind of starting your night off on the back foot there. Avoid alcohol 3 to 4 hours before bed as much as you can. I'm not saying never drink. Your personal summary. I'm not saying never drink anything. You can drink if you want to drink. Just avoid drinking too much alcohol before bed. Okay, the alcohol itself will affect your quality of sleep. In some cases, there's a trade-off. You have to decide if it's worth it or not. Okay, same thing, for coffee, for food, for anything, right? Is this worth what I'm going to feel like later? And the difference between, you going and celebrating a birthday party and having a few drinks at night, knowing your sleep is going to be a little bit rough on a Friday night, versus drinking on Tuesday night because weigh it up, see how you feel. Avoid your screens before bed if you can. Screens being televisions, computers, phones. If you can avoid those before bed, you'll be setting yourself up for better sleep. Okay, the light that is emitted from those things will disrupt your circadian rhythm. Okay, it will delay the production of melatonin, right? Because we're tuned in with the sun, with the rise and fall of the sun. Okay, as that light starts to fade, your melatonin levels increase. When you artificially simulate that light with the likes of computers and phones and televisions, even overhead lights, you can disrupt the production of the melatonin, meaning you no longer feel tired, or you will not be on the same trajectory, on the same rhythm as you would have been had you been in a darker room. Keep your bedroom cooler as well. Again, if you suffer from, if you're particularly sensitive to temperature changes, or even warmer climates, hot flushes, personal summers, as Erica said, keep your bedroom cooler, right? Find what feels good for you. Your body temperature will naturally drop as you sleep, right? So having a cooler room might help you find that state, might help you find that comfort, and therefore that sleep. And I would consider the pajamas that you would wear to bed as well. Find something that's not synthetic and doesn't trap heat too well. Cotton, or I think bamboo is a very popular one now. Find something that breathes, basically. And also consider making your bed with something that can be thrown off easy, right? Again, temperature fluctuations, they're not something you can really control. They're just something that will happen to you as your body, particularly, again, perimenopause, menopause, right, through that period there. It's your body trying to scramble to figure out just what the heck is going on, right? As you have high levels of this hormone, low levels of this hormone, then they switch around, then they're both high, then they're both low. The symptoms of menopause that you feel are your body trying to diagnose the problem and figure out and respond to what's going on. Okay, there's not much you can do about it that will make a huge difference, except hormonal therapy. But getting enough sleep, eating the right kind of food, getting regular exercise, both resistance training and walking, right? These are the biggest things, and that's why I've put them on this list. These are the biggest things that will make the most difference, and that I believe are I guess realistically attainable to everybody, right? There might be financial barriers to some of it, but you can at least do something. Okay, everybody has body weight exercise at home, right? Regardless of where you are, everybody has the ability to at least move more, if not walk more, right? Everybody's got to sleep somewhere, and most people are eating at least, say, once a day, right? You can make positive changes somewhere. Last one, and I know this is a big one because a lot of people I work with really struggle with this. Do a brain dump before bed. Okay, by that I mean grab a journal, notebook, just a scrap piece of paper, if you will, and write down everything that's on your mind. Okay, get rid of it before you try and lay down and go to sleep with it, because it will keep you up, right? If you're the person who sits there tossing and turning, get it off your mind. Okay, you can do, like I said, a physical journal. You can have a journal just for this, right? It could be completely nonsense thoughts. It might be a very real to-do list. Okay, it might be a voice recording that you make yourself. Okay, just get rid of it, ramble, get it all out, leave it for tomorrow, and let yourself try and rest with an empty mind, essentially. Erica, yeah, we'll have to get you doing that. Jennifer, yeah, you have to block them out. Tell them it's your bedtime. Yeah, the brain dump is not something that I guess a lot of people do. Personally, I don't struggle with it, but a lot of people I work with do. A lot of women I work with do, and so having that outlet, right? Like I said, whether it's a to-do list or or just random thoughts that you know are going to keep you up and you're going to circle around with, put them on paper, put them away. Okay, by that point of the day, hopefully you're done. You're done with your phone, you're done with your computer, the TV shows, you're done with work, and you can just turn lights off and go to sleep. Right? Other things can help. If you like to read, put a low light on, grab a book. Okay, do an audio book, have someone else read for you. Okay, I personally love doing that. I've listened to the same 30 minutes of the same book for the last about 3 weeks because I keep missing it. I fall asleep to it and I start it again. But audiobooks are great. Physical books are great. Meditation, mindfulness, some kind of routine practice like that. Okay, see what you can do. Thanks for being here, Betsy. You and I are going to chat next week. We'll get you doing all this stuff. Now, I said I was going to keep it under an hour. By the time I logged on late, I'm a little over an hour, but we're good. Does anybody have any questions? It can be this, anything I've talked about, anything else. I think I have to hop on another call at 1:00. You got me for, let's say, 20 minutes before I need to go and get ready. If you have any questions, otherwise I'll shut up. But I hope I made that accessible. Let me know. Eat more protein. Eat enough vegetables. Go to bed a little bit earlier. Right, 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Lift weights at least a couple times a week. The minimum effective dose, 30 minutes twice a week. Moderate to intense. Okay, but build consistency before you build intensity. The end goal being 3 to 4 times a week for 40 to 60 minutes. Okay, do that for the rest of your life. And you'll have a long one. You'll have a good one. Just look both ways before you cross the street. And then walk more. At least 5,000 steps a day. 5,000, then 6, then 7. Between 7 and 8, you're good. You're golden. The rest of it's money in the bank. Let's see. Does matcha have the same rules as coffee? Matcha is a caffeine beverage. So yes. Some people are more sensitive to caffeine than others. So I would play with that and see how you feel. But yeah, it's a caffeinated beverage. So just be mindful. If you find that it does affect you more, knock it out of the routine. But I know sleep isn't something you struggle with hugely at the moment, Erica. So yeah, there you go. See how you feel. Again, ask yourself these questions. Is what I'm doing working? Yes or no? If the answer is yes, don't change it. If the answer is no, look into how you can change it. How can I make this work better for me? Right? You look at everything you do through that lens. How can I make it 1% better for myself? And then take a year to figure it out. Or give me a call and we'll figure it out together, right? Because you don't have to struggle by yourself. Most people suck at asking for help, which is why I want to do this stuff. If you can sit with me for an hour or so, I'll make it a little bit easier for you, hopefully. But if you need more help, I'm here, right? Send me a message, call me. We can at least talk and figure this stuff out together. Okay, I'm gonna shut up now. I'm gonna stretch because I don't like sitting here for this long. Oh, okay, I'm good. Somebody tell me if they have any questions. Julia, I'm glad. I'm so glad. And I want to hear how things go. Tell me that things go well. Tell me that you're making change. Tell me that you've achieved something. Okay? Let me know, because it lets me know I'm doing the right thing as well. And I want to help you celebrate. All right? Okay. I'm going to shut up now and figure out why YouTube didn't work for me in the beginning. I appreciate your patience with me. I was 20 minutes late to my own party. Damn. But I appreciate you all sticking with me. Yeah, we'll do another one next week. Hopefully. It'll be fun. All right, where do I end this thing? Here we go. Have a good afternoon, everybody. I'll see you later.